Hi everyone, this is Mr. Zoeller, and I'm here to present a screencast today on the Republican Party and the election of 1860. So our objective that we're going to be focusing on today, students can describe the rise of the Republican Party and the impact of the election of 1860, and it's going to have quite a huge impact on our country. So first let's look at the Republican Party. So Northerners were worried about the spread of slavery, and in response to that, they're going to found their own party called the Republican Party in the 1850s, and that's the same Republican Party of today. Its goal was not to end slavery, so they didn't want to get rid of slavery, but just to stop the spread of slavery into new states and new territories. The Republican Party's opponent, or who they were opposed by, is the pro-slavery Democratic Party, which was in favor of slavery. And in 1860, the Republicans chose Abraham Lincoln to run for president. And in the previous election in 1856, John C. Fremont, who was the explorer and part of the Bear Flag Republic rebellion here in California, is going to be chosen as president to run for president. He doesn't win the election that year, but that gets the Republican Party kind of going. So let's go ahead and watch this video here on the rise of the Republican Party. So here's a political poster here about the Democratic Party and the kind of their view of the Republicans. So you can see their thoughts on that. And then here is a response of the another picture here for the Democratic Party about the Republican Party. So you can see Abraham Lincoln being brought to a lunatic asylum for the insane, and then the Republican supporters that are marching behind him there. And then here's a Republican view of the Democratic Party. And so you can see some imagery here. So just pause the video and take a look at that. And we're going to go ahead and watch this next video here about Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party.
In 1858, in Illinois, a young politician named Abraham Lincoln ran for senator. He challenged his seasoned opponent, Stephen Douglas, to a debate. What occurred was a series of rich and dramatic debates around the country. During that year, every time two politicians got together, they argued about slavery. And the same was true for the Lincoln-Douglas debates. Douglas wanted to let the territories decide for themselves whether or not they would allow slavery. Lincoln favored limiting slavery by keeping it from spreading to the territories.
This union was established on the right of each state to do as it pleased on the question of slavery and every other question. If each state will mind its own business, attend to its own affairs, then there will be peace between the North and the South throughout the whole union. He says that he looks forward to a time when slavery shall be abolished everywhere. I look forward to a time when each state shall be allowed to do as it pleases.
Has anything ever threatened the existence of this union, save and except this very institution of slavery? How do you propose to improve the condition of things? By enlarging slavery, by spreading it out and making it bigger. You may have a cancer upon your person, and not be able to cut it out lest you bleed to death. But surely it is no way to cure it, to engraft it and spread it over your whole body. The Republican Party looks upon slavery as being a moral, social, and political wrong. It should be treated as a wrong, and one of the methods of treating it as a wrong is to make provision that it shall grow no larger.
Although Lincoln lost the Senate race, he gained national attention from these debates, which helped pave the road for his future leadership roles.
So the Lincoln-Douglas debates are going to be the event that allows Lincoln to be known publicly, and that's going to help him win the election in 1860. Otherwise, nobody would really know who he was without those debates he had with Stephen Douglas in Illinois, and they're publicized throughout the country. So I want you to go ahead and pause the video right here and answer questions 1 to 3 down below, and then when you're ready, go ahead and resume. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the election of 1860, and this will be one of the most important elections in U.S. history. And here is a campaign poster for the Republican Party. So you have Abraham Lincoln here running for president and his vice presidential candidate Hannibal Hamlin, and see some imagery there for the Republican Party. So feel free to pause if you want to take a little longer look at that picture. So here are the four gentlemen that are the main candidates for president in 1860. On the left side over here, we have Abraham Lincoln, who's running for the Republican Party. And over here next to him, we have his former Illinois senator running mate, who's against him, Stephen Douglas, who's running as the Northern Democratic Party. And then next we have the Southern Democratic Party running for re-election is John C. Breckinridge. And then finally, our final one from the Constitutional Union Party is John Bell of Tennessee. So each of these parties has different views of slavery. So starting with the Northern Democratic Party, they believed in popular sovereignty. So they believed, and Stephen Douglas, as you can see down here, a part of that, said that people living in the states and the territories should decide slavery for themselves. On the other hand, the Southern Democrats believed in the ruling of the U.S. Supreme Court in the Dred Scott case that slavery should be allowed everywhere, that Southerners are allowed to bring their slaves to any state, into any territory. The Constitutional Union Party with John Bell believed in keeping slavery just as it is and just following strictly what the Constitution said. And then the new political party, the Republican Party, believed in keeping slavery in the South and stopping its spread into the territories, so not letting it spread anymore. So here are the results of 1860. So Lincoln won 180 out of 183 electoral votes in the free states, and that's where he got his winning from, is from the free states. But he did not even bother to campaign in the southern slave states and won no electoral votes there. For Southerners, this election showed how much power they had lost because Abraham Lincoln wasn't even on the ballots in many of their states. And even if nobody in the South voted for Lincoln, he was still able to win the presidency. And so they feel that they have lost their way of life. And since the free states control the House of Representatives, they control the Senate, and now you have a president elected in 1860 who has promised to stop the spread of slavery, even though he said he'll keep it in the South. Things are going to look pretty bad to the Southerners. And then here's more detailed results if you want to pause and look at that. And we're going to go ahead and watch this video here about President Abraham Lincoln winning the election in 1860. So here we go.
Chicago.
So I want you to go ahead and answer these final questions down below about the election of 1860. And remember, if you're not sure about the answer, just go back and watch the previous part of the video. And this is Mr. Zoeller, so have a great day. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.